And now it is time to head to Studio B for Coleman and Company with guest host Judge Barry Tatum.
Thank you, Preston, and thanks everybody for tuning in this morning on this rainy first Wednesday of October. We got up a couple times during the night, and there was just a steady rain. And on the news this morning, one of our local communities, I can't remember whether it was Gallatin or Smyrna, had 2.5 inches of rain. So supposed to have rain the rest of the off and on during the day and overnight, but they're predicting a beautiful weekend with sunshine and clear skies. But on Wednesday mornings, as every regular listener of Coleman and Company knows, by the way, Coleman's still on special assignment. He came in, changed out all of his disguises, got a new bag of tricks, and he's listening in on the radio this morning. But regular listeners to Coleman and Company know that the first segment of Coleman and Company is sponsored by Cedar Stone Bank, and we have the, let's see what they call the President, CEO, Chief Cook, and Bottle Washer, Bob McDonald. Good morning, Bob.
Judge, good morning. Great to be with you. I'm so happy that you're our guest host this morning, and you're right, it is rainy outside, but like Coleman and I always say on Wednesdays when it rains, it's sun always shines in Studio B.
That's exactly right. Yep. And we're back in Studio B.
Yeah, we are back in. Yeah, Susie just told me that we're back here for a while until we start doing some more renovations in here, and then we're going to be back in what I've called Studio C.
Right.
Which is the hallway.
Well, you gave it that moniker, and
yep.
I think that's appropriate because there is an A and a B, and now
there's a C. I asked if I can bring a plaque at some point, and she kind of laughed. I don't think she really wants me to, but I'm going to do it anyway and let her put it up if she wants.
Well, if it's what I've seen before, my brother and I were having this talk about, different facilities will sponsor, you can sponsor a room or you can sponsor a chair or a professorship. Yep. I'm sure if Bob McDonald sponsored a Studio C and had a check to go along
so
with
it might cost more than just the purchase of a plaque. Huh? Is that kind of what you're saying?
I'm just saying it would improve your chance.
Okay.
How's the world?
That's great. It's great, Judge, and I want to dedicate all of our time this morning, if I may, to an exciting event coming up later this month, and hopefully who will be recognizing and celebrating that night will make it at some point before we go off the air. But I have with me, joining me across the table here, Gail Hibbett, who Gail and Sue came to me. Sue Vanetta came to me. I guess it's been about 2 months ago now. Gail, does that sound about right?
Just a little less than that. Yeah,
about a great idea, and it was to celebrate not only the work of a great man, but the life of a great man. And that's Phil Ponder. And what we have coming up on Tuesday, October 26th, is an event that Gail has called An Evening with Phil Ponder. And she's done some great work on this. She's has obtained a lot of sponsors, and it's going to be terrific. And Gail, let me throw it to you and just talk about how you came up with this great idea. And thanks for letting us be involved in it.
Oh, well, thank you. It was an idea that actually kind of came from attending a Mount Juliet Chamber lunch where he was a guest speaker, and his time was a little limited, but I've known Phil for a long time, not as long as you, but I love the way he presents. He has a sense of humor. He certainly has the rich history with the greater Middle Tennessee area as well as his artwork. And I just sat there and thought, I really would like to have something like that at the expo and let him tell his story, have a couple hours, just walk through his art. Plus, he has a brand new Nashville 11 skyline that he's releasing, and his book is releasing in a couple weeks. And so I was like, wait a minute, this is really good timing. So I scurried about, got together with Sue. We went to visit Bob at the bank, and we were off. And I started putting things together after that.
Well, you mentioned about it being at the expo. That's the expo center out at the Wilson County Ag Center.
That's right. It's the Farm Bureau Expo.
And you're the director of that facility. You're responsible for all the bookings.
That is correct, yes.
So this is a tailor-made location for this event, and certainly you've described Mr. Ponder's connection to our community.
Yeah, I think it is. I was interviewed by the Tennessean the other day and about this event, and he asked me an interesting question that he said, why do you feel this is a appropriate or a good event for the Expo Center? And I said, well, Phil is iconic. He's in a lot of people's houses and buildings, and whether they realize it or not, he is. And it was an opportunity to showcase somebody who's contributed to keeping the history rich and alive in the greater community of Middle Tennessee. And what better way to do it than give him a couple hours to talk about what he does and what he does so well.
And that gets into it. We're talking about Mr. Ponder as everybody knows, but most anybody who's been in a office or in home, like you said, has seen his artwork, his prints, and it's of iconic buildings, historical buildings in Nashville, Middle Tennessee. And his little signature is to have a little bird perched on his drawing, the building.
That is correct.
And has been doing that for years. He was actually a neighbor of my aunt and uncle down on Andrew Jackson Parkway for years. And but we've seen his work, Ryman Auditorium, State Capitol, Customs House. And Nashville's skyline has changed so much that a lot of those buildings that are prominent at one time you could see from the highway are now covered up in a lot of respects by the larger glass and aluminum and steel towers.
Oh, that's so true. And that is why he's doing the Nashville 11 skyline.
Yeah.
He and Gail words were so appropriate and beautiful in describing Phil. He is iconic. He is ours. He belongs to us. We all belong to him. I was talking with Andy Hubbles just the other day also, and my comments to Andy were that not many major cities have a Phil Ponder who captures the essence, the personality, the history, and the present like a Phil Ponder does. But so not only is his artwork beautiful, but it is a great historical reflection of where Middle Tennessee has come. And he does old buildings, he does new buildings. I think his first work was back in 1978, at least his first public work, and he did what was called Market Street at that time in downtown Nashville, which is 2nd Avenue. And I remember that print. And Gail mentioned that our family, my parents and Mr. and Miss Ponder go back since the beginning of time, and I've known Phil literally my entire life. And as Gail mentioned, he serves. I mean, he's a servant. I mean, he not only was a business leader, but he served on the city council in Nashville. He's a member of the Dawson-Hermitage Chamber of Commerce. He's a member of the Nashville Chamber of Commerce. He's a member of the Mount Juliet Chamber of Commerce, a member of the Lebanon-Wilson County Chamber. Everybody knows him.
Right.
And so that's what makes him special, and that's what makes the event that we're having on October 26th, what's going to be just a wonderful event.
Well, in the last few minutes here that we have, or few seconds really that we have here, Ms. Hibbert, if you would tell us again, it's on October 26th, which is a Tuesday, but the times and the location, cost, and any other particulars.
Well, the time is going to be 5 to 6 is going to be a reception. 6 to 8 is going to be Phil doing his presentation and talking about his art. The location will be at Farm Bureau Expo. It'll be in South Hall. And tickets are available on Eventbrite. I tested it 2 or 3 times, and all you have to do is put in the word Ponder, and he comes right up to the top. So it should be pretty easy to find. But I also have tickets at the expo, and I know Bob has some tickets at Cedarstone Bank as well.
And that's all 3 locations, I assume, Bob?
Yes, sir.
Right.
Yes, sir.
Please check this out. And is there a website or something on the expo website that would?
Yes, the Farm Bureau website has it, as well as our Facebook page. And the Facebook page is probably more user-friendly for a lot of people. So the Facebook page is at Farm Bureau Expo, and the website is farmbureauexpo.com.
And this is to benefit actually some nonprofits. The Second Harvest Food Bank, Fiddler's Grove, New Leash on Life, and Wilson Books from Birth, I believe, are the beneficiaries of this.
That is correct. Those are the ones that Phil chose. All the proceeds will go to benefit those charities.
And you have some sponsors: Image 360, Wilson County Motors, Picture This, Creative Framing, Hawk Specialty Services, Visionary Design Group, Carrie Becht, Physical Therapy, and the Sassy Pecan.
That's correct.
So you've got some heavy hitter sponsors there, as well as generous from Cedarstone this morning to share this time.
Well, I have to say, it's been interesting. Not one person hesitated in jumping on board to support it.
That's always a good sign of a good event.
Mm-hmm.
Judge, we were looking for a big turnout that night, so for your listeners who haven't bought their tickets yet, please do so. It's only $25 a ticket, and we're looking forward to that. And I appreciate Gail's energy on this and her creativity. We just can't wait, and I want your listeners to be sure and tune in this time next week. We'll be announcing the upcoming event in early 2022. It's called An Evening with Judge Tatum. So we can't wait about that. We look forward to talking about that next week.
Should I start that artwork now?
I think we should start that now, Gail.
Okay.
Yeah.
That'll put people to
How about
sleep.
that?
That'll
Yeah.
put people to sleep, Bob. All right. Well, with that, it's appreciate y'all being here.
Thanks,
Thank you
Judge.
for the sponsorship of Cedarstone. And with that, it's 15 minutes after the hour. Now we have 2 chairs and 3 guests. So while they're assuming their positions on here, I'll tell you what, Preston, let's go to a word from our sponsors and a commercial break, and we'll come back and be talking about 4-H.
All right, thank you, Judge. Right now, let's check back in with Commander Chuck with on-time traffic, see what's happening out there on those roadways. And traffic brought to you by Bates Ford, located at 1673 West Main Street. They got an oil change special for you, $24.95 up to 5 quarts plus tax and disposal. And you can give them a call at 444-8221. And once again, it's Commander Chuck.
Good morning, bumper to bumper 65 southbound here at Trinity Lane. Cleanup continues on this truck that remains on its left side here on 65 northbound at the South Loop. That'll slow you down just a little bit as you come up past Wedgewood there out of Brentwood on 65 northbound up to the South Loop. Firestone Parkway at OHB, that's a wreck being dispatched through the fire department. Still slow on 24 westbound at Whites Creek Pike from that earlier crash. THP's trying to open it back up. Gatlinburg Wine Cellar is home of the world famous cotton candy wine. Log on now, GatlinburgWineCellar.com. I'm Commander Chug, you're on time traffic.
Hey, TP.
Yeah, JB?
You ready?
For Friday Night Lights, you better believe it. Join us on the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show every Friday night after the Lebanon High football game. We'll have all the scores for you and even post-game interviews with all of your Wilson County coaches.
Thank you to our sponsors, Designers Carpet, Fakes and Hooker, Lebanon Appliance, Palometto's Insurance, Sammy B's Restaurant, and Kenny Salas and the hometown team with Keller Williams Realty.
It's the Fakes and Hooker Scoreboard Show with John Boyce and Trenton Perry, right here on WANT 98.9 FM.
As the Titans try to win a second consecutive AFC South Division title. Every snap.
Gives Henry around right end to the 5, to the end zone.
Every first down. Every touchdown.
Touchdown Titans!
It's all heard here.
Brought to you by Fakes and Hooker, Bates Ford, Steve Mall Plumbing, the Jewelers, and the City of Lebanon Gas and Tennessee 811. Call before you dig.
This is Wilson County's home for real country music and the Tennessee Titans. Real Country 98.9.
Gregory Dental Group in Lebanon is a family dental practice located across from Vanderbilt Wilson County Hospital. They offer cosmetic procedures, dental implant services, and now featuring new digital dentures. Premium dentures in just 2 appointments. No insurance, no problem. Call about our discount plan.
Hi, I'm Dr. Derek Gregory. In my office, you can count on a compassionate staff who will truly listen to you, take the time to get to know you, and discuss your personal needs. I look forward to meeting you.
Gregory Dental Group, 444-0322, West Medora Parkway across from Gibbs Pharmacy.
Fiddler's Grove in the James E. Ward Ag Center presents Ghosts in the Grove, October 15th and 16th, with tours starting at 7 p.m. Expect ghosts and ghouls, history with a ghostly twist, and folklore. The Tennessee Ghostbusters and Scufflemoss will be in attendance as well. Chili, hot dogs, and hot chocolate will be on sale in the general store. Admission is $10 for adults, $5 ages 6 through 16. For more information, call 615-547-6111.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. This is Barry Tatum sitting in as guest host for Coleman, who's, as we like to say, on special assignment. And went a little bit long on that first segment with Cedar Stone and the Evening with Phil Ponder, but we're here to talk with some folks with the Wilson County Ag Extension Office, and also a young lady who is fairly high up, I guess, in her description, actually a student.
Yeah, I'm president of the Honor Club.
President of the Honor Club and an active member in 4-H, and that is Naomi Todd. Good morning to you.
Good to be here.
Really?
It is.
Now, have you ever been on the radio before?
I have not.
Okay, well, I haven't either, so this is a first, this is the first time. But it's I told you about my first experience of being on the radio, so don't ask me to spell anything. But we also have Morgan Beatty with Wilson County Extension.
Yep, I'm here.
And we also have Leah
Piper.
Is it Typer or Piper?
Piper, like Peter Piper.
Like Peter Piper.
Peck.
Here, and we're to talk about 4-H this morning, and it's National 4-H Week.
That's correct. Yeah, every year the first full week of October is National 4-H Week. So we're here. This is the first full week of October. We're about halfway through. So yeah, happy National 4-H Week.
Well, what can a person do to engage or celebrate or learn a little bit more about 4-H?
Well, we have a really cool social media campaign this year. It's one that the entire state is kind of like doing at the same time. So all the counties are joining in. So definitely check out our Facebook page. It's Wilson County, Tennessee 4-H is our Facebook page, and we have an Instagram page. We've made some videos highlighting our 4-H members and 4-H agents, and we're sharing pictures from alumni that have sent us pictures to share, and some different things like that. So we're just celebrating and sharing memories and those things.
Well, I know there are multiple agents in our local extension office on there, and y'all are both, Ms. Piper and Ms. Beatty, y'all are both ag extension agents locally, right?
Yes. Yeah, we're the 4-H.
So that's what I was getting at. Which one of y'all, or are both of you, responsible for the 4-H programs in our county?
Both of us.
And so y'all go into the different schools and the different communities that have young people's activities and start that recruitment. When does that start? In elementary school, at what grade roughly?
Fourth grade.
And you get good cooperation from our two public school programs as well as the homeschool programs, and I guess private schools as well.
Yeah, it's obviously this is we're kind of we're coming back from not being able to do much in schools last year, so we're slowly coming back in this school or that school, So I think hopefully as the year progresses, we'll kind of start going back to more of a normal pace. But yeah, we've been in most schools in fourth and fifth grade. So.
Well, it's been like half a century since I was there. So if you would, Ms. Piper, I'm going to let you do this. If you'll remind me, when you go into a school and make a presentation for 4-H and are seeking participants, how does that happen, and what are some of the initial activities that you have to draw that interest in?
So we'll go into individual classrooms, and we work with 25 to 30-ish the students that are in there, and they'll fill out an enrollment form so everybody's an official member. And then we dive into our contest, and we start out with the poster. That way they do something fun, and we don't run them off with speeches. And we drop that bombshell on them for the second contest. Teachers love that when they make it mandatory because it helps them hit a lot of standards. And then we bring back piggy bank, because that's a fun one. They get to build their own piggy bank, and they have to show us how it works. And we get to see some very unique creations. with that one. And then our last one, we end with demonstrations. And then for the last meeting, we go into camp. But, I mean, we generally get a lot of interest. They're all eager to do it usually, so.
Well, after that, during the school year when that occurs, are there any ongoing activities in the summer for young people who want to follow up?
You know, we have camps, we have day camps, there are livestock shows, there's all these others for the hired
4-H
kids,
camp.
there's roundup, there's a lot.
A lot of activities
Yes.
for a young person who has an interest in that. And it's not necessarily about livestock and beef shows or poultry or something. It's something that can be done even if a young person lives in a subdivision or an apartment.
Like, we have a sewing club that's very active. Morgan, which I'm over the sewing club, Morgan's over cooking. We have STEM club and a line and design group. So we cover a lot of bases.
Well, we'll get to the club president here, Miss Todd, again. Tell us how old you are.
I'm 16 years old.
16 years old. So when did you start in 4-H?
I actually started when I was 13 because we moved to Tennessee, and so that's when I really got involved in 4-H. So I got involved a lot later than most people, but I still had a lot of fun.
You said you moved to Tennessee. Where did you live before?
We actually moved from Alaska.
Wow. Well, what do you think of the heat and humidity in Tennessee?
Well, it's a lot different, but I kind of like it compared to the coldness of Alaska.
What part of Alaska did you live in?
Anchorage.
And let's see, is that the capital?
The capital's Juneau, but Anchorage is the biggest city. It's where everything's at,
So,
basically.
so everything that happens in Alaska has to go through Anchorage, is that
Pretty
right?
much.
Well, I've got to ask this. I've never been to Alaska, but here, we'll see turtles crossing the road or a groundhog crossing the road. Possums is a big thing too. But in Alaska, you have grizzly bears, moose, elk, I guess, all kinds of big antlered animals.
Yeah, sometimes you'll be walking around the city and there's just moose like on the street.
Wow.
Or in your backyard. So
And what about bears? Have you seen grizzlies or
I
black
saw a
bears?
few, but bears aren't really quite as common as you would think, at least in the city. But I have had some experience.
Some experience.
Some experience.
And I've seen them at a distance, and I don't know that I want to try to get up and pet one or make friends with a bear.
That's a good idea.
So your family moved to Tennessee 3 years ago, and your first involvement with 4-H was when you were 13. So you got a little bit later introduction on this, but tell us some of the things that you've been involved in, things that are interesting, that you've shown interest in 4-H.
Well, when I first went to 4-H, I started off in the homeschool club, and that got me a good introduction. And then I'm in sewing club right now, honor club, and I like volunteering with the different camps, and I'm going to help with cooking club. So that's some of the things I like to do.
So sewing and cooking and volunteering with the camps that go along there. It sounds like you have a kind of a creative heart and perhaps even a servant's heart, that you like to give something back.
I really do. I like serving people and working with kids or elderly people also, just anybody who needs help.
Well, that's awesome to hear a young person say that, because from my own experience, when I was 16 years old, I wasn't really interested in helping anybody else, and so that's really, really impressive.
Thank you.
16 years old, so you're sophomore, junior, and of course, graduation from high school is quickly approaching. Any ideas about what you want to do in the future?
That's something I still am thinking about. I don't know. I might go to college, maybe not. I'm not sure. But if it's possible, I still want to keep involved with 4-H after I graduate.
And these ladies here, whose involvement in 4-H, y'all have both gone to college and have gotten employment with the Wilson County Ag Extension. But, college is not for everybody.
Okay.
And it's a big thing that you need to find something that you're passionate about, that you're interested in, whatever that may be. And some of those things don't require a college education, but I'm glad you're thinking about that on there. And are you sure you haven't been on radio before?
I haven't.
Well, you're doing a lot better than I did the first time. So I got booted out on the second round of the spelling bee in here.
It's that 4-H training she has.
There you go.
Being a good speaker.
See, I tee up a softball there, and I was waiting for somebody to hammer it. In the last minute and a half we have here on this segment about Wilson County 4-H, are there any other upcoming events that we have for National 4-H Week, or anything that y'all would like to add about how people can get involved or be supportive of 4-H in our community?
I will say just one quick shout out. Our 4-H livestock judging team, they placed over the summer in the top 4 or 5 that you have to place in order to get to go to one of the national contests.
Wow.
And they're leaving tomorrow morning. I'm driving them, and we're going to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania to go to the Keystone International Livestock Judging, and they're going to do the contest. So wish them luck and hope for the best.
And safe travels.
Safe travels. It's a long, long day on Saturday. They've got 12 classes of livestock judging and 4 classes of oral reasons, 2 questions classes. So it's going to be a long, tiring day for them, but they're very excited to get to go to a national contest.
Oh, I bet. I'd almost tag along if I didn't have some other stuff to do.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun trip.
Now, when you go to are you taking livestock with you?
No, thank goodness.
So you judge the ones that they present to you.
Yes. And they're going to go to Penn State on Friday morning and get to do a practice class or 2. And then the contest is at Keystone International Livestock Expo. So It's really exciting.
Well, best wishes to our local team going up to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania over the weekend. And I hope you've got some other adult help with you. It's just you.
It's just me this time.
Okay, well.
Just four teenage girls on that livestock judging team and me. We're going to make it. We're going to drink a lot of coffee and we're going to make it.
I've got a lot of confidence in you, but we want to thank Morgan Beatty, who's taking the trip to Pennsylvania this weekend, Leah Piper, both with Wilson County Extension, and also Nadine Todd, who's making her debut on radio this morning, and you may very well have a future in doing this someday.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
It's been a pleasure to meet you, pleasure to talk with y'all, and with that, it's 7:30, just a tick past, and we're going to turn it over to Preston for a word from our sponsors and a traffic report.
Thank you so much, Judge. Yes, let's check in with Commander Chuck with on-time traffic, see what's happening out there on the roadways. And traffic is brought to you by Absolute Kubota, located at 1506 West Main Street in Lebanon. And they have Red Max, a complete inventory of weed eaters, blowers, and hedge trimmers for the commercial user and homeowner, up to a 4-year warranty. And you can give them a call at 615-449-6171. And here's Commander Chuck.
Good morning. Still a lot going on. They're trying to upright this truck out here that flipped a little bit earlier this morning on 65 at the South Loop. It's going to be out here for just a little bit longer. Still a lot of traffic volume on 24 trying to get past Whites Creek Pike up there in the Jolton area from that earlier crash. Of course, it's heavy eastbound. That's a given with all the traffic coming in from Clarksville as well, trying to sneak through Jolton right now. Gatlinburg Wine Cellar is home of the world-famous cotton candy wine. Check out all their flavors at GatlinburgWineCellar.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
This is Bob McDonald with Cedar Stone Bank. For 17 years now, we've been serving our communities in Lebanon, Mount Juliet, and Donaldson. We can serve you in the way that best fits your needs. We have all the banking technology, we have beautiful buildings, but more importantly, we have great people. On behalf of our board of directors, I thank you for banking with us. If you don't currently bank with us, please come by and visit us in any of our locations. It would be our pleasure to talk with you about how simple banking is simply better.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Caring for a loved one is as natural as the weather, but just like the weather, one moment it's sunny and the next you find yourself in the middle of a storm. So when it came time to take care of my dad, I knew I needed help, a reprieve from the storm, so to speak. That's when I found the Pavilion Senior Living. They have expertise and experience to weather the storms in your loved one's life. And now I can rest easy. Thank you, Pavilion Senior Living. You should visit thepavilionseniorliving.com to find out more.
This is Philip Etherly with Absolute Rental and Supply. Whether it's cleaning, painting, remodeling, or simply getting better organized, we have the tools and equipment to get the job done. scaffolding, paint sprayers, ladders, power saws, portable heaters, temporary lighting, generators, hardwood floor staplers. From wallpaper steamers to bulldozers, Absolute Rental has what you need. Call 615-443-RENT. Absolute Rental and Supply. We have what you need.
Hi, this is Rick Wittrig. Do you have projects that need painting? Well, why paint when the Powder Coat Art Company will beautifully powder coat your project with a tough, durable, baked-on finish? We have options for commercial, residential, automotive, off-road, and motorcycle parts. See us on Facebook or Instagram, or for a quote, go online at powdercoatart.com or come see us at 1746 Sparta Pike in Lebanon.
Today's forecast calls for showers and storms, so don't forget to pack the umbrella. Highs today will climb into the mid-70s. For your Thursday, we may have a spotty shower early, but skies will gradually clear out. Temperatures on Thursday reach the upper 70s. This weather forecast is brought to you by Walker Auction and Realty, professional auction and real estate services. Get top dollar for your home, land, or personal property. Log on to MikeWalkerAuctions.com. They know auctions. That's Look at Your Forecast. I'm meteorologist T.J. Scott.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. This is Barry Tatum substituting for Coleman, who's on special assignment. He's around town, and so keep your eyes peeled. He's in disguise, and it changes from time to time. But hopefully Coleman's listening and won't mind me blowing his cover on that. But look forward to having him back. But second half of Wednesdays on Coleman and Company is sponsored by Absolute Rental and Supply. Telephone number is 443-7368, of course, area code 615, located on West Main Street. And by me saying all that information, you probably think that Philip Etherly is not here, but he's sitting here, aren't you?
I'm here present.
You know, I owe you some money for a Mini X, and I thought, I hope he doesn't embarrass me, so I'm going to do a preemptive strike. Yes, the check's in the mail.
Your check's in the mail.
Check's in the mail. But,
there you go.
You know, that's in all seriousness about that, though. Your motto is you rent anything from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers. Mm-hmm. And I've never gone on the lighter end, but I've rented dozers from you, Mini X's, skid steers, log splitters. Equipment's always in real good shape when I pick it up. I don't know how good it is when y'all get it back from me.
We appreciate all the rentals, and I'm glad we can take care of whatever you're needing to do.
Well, that's it. And the other thing that has impressed me over time is the help that you have down there, whether it's at the front desk or whether it's the guys back there in the service yard that help load it up. Mm-hmm. They're all knowledgeable about how the stuff works.
Well, we really strive for that, and because it goes back to what we always talk about, it's the customer experience, and we want that customer to get that piece of equipment and be able to get their job done in the most efficient way. And to do that, you have to know how to run it, and so it's really important. And there are so many safety items on equipment now, especially aerial lifts and stuff like that, and then there's a sequence to that, and if you don't follow that sequence, then it doesn't work. And sometimes you think, it's a pain. I wish that safety switch wasn't there. But in the same reason, you're thinking, hey, it's there for a reason. Someone somewhere got hurt.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure nobody gets hurt with equipment.
Well, that's the way I was grown up and the way you were grown up. They didn't have guards on power takeoff shafts, and they didn't have kill switches if you're on a tractor and plowing or running a disc, you'd stand up, just so you stretch. And now if you stand up on a tractor, the motor dies.
Exactly.
So I said something to somebody one time about, can you just reroute that, that dead man switch on that seat? And they said, no, we're not going to do it. You can do it, but we're not going to.
Yeah, like I say, it's there for a reason, but it is one of the it's probably one of the top 10 reasons we have callbacks of people doing it. Because like I say, it's not just this, it's in a sequence you have to do things. But anyway, like I say, we really try to get our guys to really go over the equipment well with someone. And, there's times if I think somebody doesn't really understand what we're saying, and we'll go out there and we'll do the operation. We'll have them do it and make sure they know how to go up in the air and come back down before they get to their job site.
Well, for what it's worth, I found it's more important to be able to come back down safely than it is to go up. So.
That's true. That's true.
And I've got some knots some bumps on bones and so forth to prove that.
Yeah.
But I know that when you're on here with Coleman at different times of the year, you're talking about some things are seasonal, and you have a full range of lawn care supplies, fertilizer, seed, straw. Little wet to be doing anything today. It's hard to work mud, but anything that you want to talk about right now that's seasonal?
That is the season right now for fall aeration and overseeding. Everybody's really heavily involved in that. And, right now, today, it's too wet. But even, we have a day's worth of sunshine, it will be fine. Because actually, you want that core aerator to be able to get down and pull that plug a little bit. I had a good friend want to rent one about 3 weeks ago, and I was like, "It's too dry. Do you have your yard irrigated?" He said, "Well, no." I said, "Well, it's really too dry." Well, then he comes back, I think this Monday, we reschedule the reservation, and we're kind of looking at him like it may be too wet. But anyway, he went and got it done, and it really did a good job, and he was pleased. It was a walk-behind unit, so it wasn't like you were getting a big, heavy piece of equipment out on his lawn. But, we're getting ready to come up on the another kind of timeline season is irrigation blowouts. A lot of people are going to have to start blowing out their use air compressors to blow out their irrigations. We've already got reservations for, like 1st of November. There's a lot of, now we've got a lot of air compressors. But if that's something you're going to be needing to do, go ahead and give us a call and we'll make you a reservation.
And that telephone number is 615-443-7368. You got a really convenient location on West Main Street, and tell people where you get to it.
1325 West Main Street. You can go to our website, absoluterental.com. Like I say, just give us a call. We're glad to help you out.
And it's right there between Ruby Tuesdays and
Advanced Auto Parts.
Yep. So if you're familiar with West Main Street, got a big yellow sign, tallest sign.
I started to say, can't miss our sign. Coming off Castle Heights Hill, you can see it. Coming off Snow White Hill, you can see it. So if you're in that valley, you can see us.
All righty. Well, anybody that has a need for anything from wallpaper steamers to bulldozers, gives Absolute Rental a call, and I promise you, I'll get down there with the check.
Appreciate it. I know where you live.
Yeah, with that, it's about 20 minutes before the hour, and before we get to our guest, I want to say something to my grandchildren out there. Tatum and Taylor are on their way to school, and Miss Sadie may still be asleep, but hopefully she's listening. And with that, we have Mayor Rick Bell.
Good morning, Judge.
How are you today?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
I'm doing fine. You look dry.
I am. It wasn't raining when I came in.
Well, it's you didn't get started early enough because it was sprinkling on me when I started out this morning. But had a lot of rain, and of course, rain is a concern sometimes when the ground's saturated and we get these isolated downpours. We had a flooding event, I guess, back in March.
We did.
And that's, I guess that's kind of the luck of the draw with some administrations. I guess some have gone through without having a flooding concern, but you started right off the bat with a big one.
They have. I was sworn in December. In March, we had a flood, and, and me and my staff, we've been working hard on it ever since, trying to figure out ways not just to mitigate the flooding, but also to, try to get the word out to people who are in those flood zones. I know the square gets a lot of publicity, but we have issues all over town, and it's not for one isolated area. It's wide ranging. So my engineering staff, they're working really hard to come up with ways to help people throughout our city.
And the Councilman Carmack, he's not my councilman, but he's. I work with him, and occasionally I hope he's throwing out some ideas that I've had about mitigation of flooding concerns. And one was to build this huge dome over the city of Lebanon. I don't know if he's mentioned that to you or not.
He hasn't. And I'll tell you, Joey does a great job. He represents Ward 1, which is more the north side of the city, and Joey is mayor pro tem, and so if I'm out, he's technically in charge. And I will say this: I think sometimes that makes him a little nervous, but Joey does a great job, and I know he works up with you guys, and he really enjoys that, and he's somebody that he has a tough job in his real job. He also has a tough job in what he chose to be on city council. So I appreciate him, taking up that.
Well, I have to admit, and I'll just clear the air right now on it. I give Councilman Carmack a hard time a lot of times, but I agree with you. I think he takes it serious and appreciate what anybody does in an elected office and being a representative of the people. And but I do like to yank his chain a little bit on there. So to speak.
I've heard.
But y'all had a city council meeting last night.
We did, and it was a short agenda. There wasn't much going on last night, but there are a few things I do want to talk about that happened last night, and one announcement we'll make from this week. But Bob King, who I've known for most of my life, he actually used to work for my dad. He served on the planning commission for the past several years, and he decided that he did not want to do that anymore, that he had spent his time, because it's a tough job.
Yeah.
And so his term was up, and I reached out to him, and he told me that he just wanted to go and do something else. So I appointed Adrian Kelly to take his place, and I really appreciate Adrian agreeing to do that. Adrian's family has been active in our community for a long, long time, and actually, Adrian lives in Ward 1, which is Joey's ward, and our planning director, Paul Corder, told me that we've never had a representative from Ward 1 on the planning commission. So
Really?
that's an area that's growing, and I felt that it was important from somebody in that part of town to be on there, and so I appreciate Adrian agreeing to do that.
Well, you got a good man there with Mr. Kelly. Now, you raised an issue about there. You never had anybody from Ward 1 on the planning commission, as far as recent memory goes.
Yeah.
There's not a requirement that the planning commission must be comprised of people, so many.
There's not like a ward requirement. There is a requirement that we have somebody from our growth zone, so somebody who doesn't live in the city limits but lives in the area that we could grow into.
Right.
So that is there, but as far as ward representation, that qualification really isn't there. But as I start to appoint people, I want to spread around town so every ward is represented.
Okay. Well, tell you what, we'll pick up some more on that city agenda here in just a minute, and we may have a special guest. We might be able to squeeze a couple of minutes in if you don't mind.
Sounds good.
With that, we're going to turn it over to Preston and a word from our sponsors and a traffic report.
All right, thank you so much, Judge, and let's check in with Commander Chuck with On-Time Traffic, see what's going on out there on the roadways. And traffic is brought to you by Bates Ford, located at 1673 West Main Street. They got a low-price tire guarantee on all tires they sell every day, up to 30 days after the sale. They beat any competitor's pricing on the tires they sell. You can give them a call at 444-8221. And here's Commander Chuck.
Good morning. They're still trying to offload this truck that flipped early this morning out here on 65 northbound, right at the South Loop here at I-40. Keep that in mind as you come up past Wedgwood. People are slowing down the Rubberneck as they offload this truck again that flipped earlier. 24 West has been running slow up around the Jolton exit from that earlier crash. Of course, the heaviest flow is coming eastbound now through the Jolton area. 5100 block of OHB, that's a crash up north, and trying to finish up a crash in the 1600 block of Ed Temple Boulevard. Hey, Oktoberfest at Obergatlinburg underway now through October 31st. All the details at obergatlinburg.com. I'm Commander Chuck with your on-time traffic.
The average person moves 5 times over their lifetime. If it's moving time for you, let A.G. & Johnson help you sell your home quickly and professionally. Call us at 444-0909 to start your marketing plan today with an accurate evaluation of your home. One of our licensed realtors will feature your home on the A.G. & Johnson website, online listing sites, and through the MLS. A.G. & Johnson is your community trusted real estate and auction company since 1977. Visit us online at agandjohnson.com.
Welcome back to Coleman and Company. Barry Tatum substituted for Coleman Walker. That's the reason that they don't have that rich baritone voice. And but we've got, I mentioned before we went to the commercial break that we might have a little surprise guest to kind of occupy some of the mayor's time on here, and we talked about you.
Thank you
for a few minutes ago with Gail Hibbert and with Bob McDonald, but we've been honored and graced with the presence of Phil Ponder himself. Good morning.
Good morning, Judge. Thank you so much, and good morning to Lebanon and Wilson County. And Mayor, it is so good to see you. Your dad and I go back to the 60s, so a long time that we've been familiar with the Bell family, and we thank you for your service as mayor.
Well, thank you, and I my dad's listening right now, and with my mom, and I've heard stories of your JC days back when he represented Lebanon. You were in Donaldson.
Absolutely. We were, in a way, competitors, but both on the same wonderful track of doing good for the community.
That's right.
And that phrase that we had, service to humanity is the best work of life, is a code that I adopted as my personal code also.
Well, certainly, I think both of y'all can fit that characterization on here. But it's how does it feel to have an event, an evening with Phil Ponder?
Well, I'm going to tell you what, Gail Hibbert is just a fireball, and she's the one that came up with the idea. I think she and Sue Banata were cooking up deals, and so she said, let's do this. And so she talked to me, and I said, let me think about it a minute. And I said, well, let's do it, but I want this to be really share the wealth. So let's pick some charities, and we wound up designating 4 charities that the money's going to go for. And then Bob McDonald jumped into the picture and said he would cover the basic costs for the evening. So we're just looking forward to a great evening on October 26th, beginning at 5 o'clock, a reception. And then I'll be on the stage for probably an hour, and until they give me the hook and tell me, to shut up. But we'll be there to answer questions. The 4 charities will be there to share their stories. So it's going to be a great evening. We're looking forward to it.
And those 4 charities, they're all local. You have Wilson Books from Birth, Fiddler's Grove, New Leash on Life, and the Second Harvest.
Absolutely. I am so happy that we'll be able to help out those particular organizations. In the meantime, I will be able to also share with the people there that evening the way I got started, why I do it, and we'll be able to show, of course, many illustrations of what I've done through the 42 years that I've been having a career of art.
Now, what did you do before?
Actually, I was at Genesco in the shoe business for 30 years.
Okay.
Yeah, I started in 59 and I retired in 89, then took up what had been a hobby as a second career in the art area.
And I don't want to spoil the surprise for the evening, but have you always drawn since you were a child?
Actually, I have my, actually I have it with me, my coloring book from the first grade. So that's when I was 6 years old, 1939.
Wow.
And I actually was able to stay pretty well within the lines. So I guess maybe that encouraged me. And my mother pushed me a whole lot too. So we appreciated that in the long run.
Well, it's such a treat to have you here. And I mentioned in the first segment you were neighbors with my aunt and uncle, Frank and Edna Mae Tatum, down on Andy Jackson
Oh, they are
Parkway.
so dear. I passed the house this morning on the way here. Yeah.
And they always mentioned you as being a good friend and a neighbor down there. And unfortunately, we met each other at their funerals.
That's right.
And as that happens to all of us. But I want to encourage people to, Mark, put that on the calendar. Said if your $25 ticket cost, but it all goes to charity, and it'll be a reception with Phil Ponder, who is so gracious, so talented, and such a servant to our community. The reception's from 4 to 6. Then you said about an hour-long presentation. They've got you down for 2 hours.
Well, we're going to have time for a lot of questions and answers. So we'll be able to mingle with the crowd afterwards. But we're really looking forward to it. Yeah, come on out and see us. It's going to be a great evening. And I'm just so privileged and pleased that I was asked to do this.
Well, certainly I think it's well-deserved, and certainly it can benefit these wonderful organizations, charitable organizations that we have. But thank you for the time, and thanks to Mayor Bell for yielding some time here.
Yes.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
Mayor.
I love listening to Mr. Ponder talk. So.
Appreciate it so much.
All right. Thank you so much. Did you sign our guest book? Very good. Mayor Bell, we were talking before the break about the city council meeting last night, and said it was kind of a short agenda, but there were a couple of things. One, and I hate to put somebody on the spot like this, but a friend of mine gave me a call and says, "Did you see what they did to Judge Green's house?"
Yeah.
And I said, "No." I said, "Down there on Main Street." And he said, "Yeah." And I said, "What about it?" And he said, "It's gone." And I said, "Well, no, I hadn't even noticed. I hadn't been down that way." And but I know that's been it's private property.
It is.
But it's and certainly a person that has individual or business that has private property. I'm kind of the mindset that you ought to be able to do what you want to do with your private property. But as mayor, you're kind of a lightning rod for why is this happening?
Well, and there are a lot of people upset about it.
Yeah.
I was actually on vacation when it happened, and people, I think, forget sometimes I'm the city historian too.
Yeah.
And so, I'm upset about it too. I can remember my uncle Johnny Keel, who's passed away now. Years ago, his sister moved in from Texas or came here from Texas and visited, and he wanted me to give her a tour around town, show her history. So we went by that house, and I asked her, I said, do you know where Tom Green County, Texas is? And she said, yeah, that's San Angelo. And I said, well, Tom Green's parents lived right there.
I did not know
and,
that.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so, when it came down, I started thinking, I can't tell that story anymore.
Right.
And it's sad. It really is. But, we at the city, including me, we didn't know about the land sale or anything about the plans until after the demolition permit was pulled. And then the house was torn down not long after that. But, after it was torn down, I talked to, with some of the representatives at the bank, and I talked to one member of the Lester family, to kind of understand their thought process. And we have a historic preservation commission, and they've done a great job through the years of preserving some of our historic places. This home, I guess through the years, has kind of fallen through the cracks a little bit. But we had a special call meeting Monday night to discuss this issue, and I told them that night, I said, you guys as a commission do a great job, but you need help sometimes. You need help from private businesses. You need help from family estates. You need help from nonprofits. And in this situation, they did not get that help. This property, somebody had other plans for it. And I guess that's one of the things that, that I'm upset about too, is that if I hadn't known it, I would have worked hard to try to come up with some kind of a compromise.
Right.
And if that had been successful, I don't know, but I would have worked at it. But me as mayor and the city council and the Historic Preservation Commission, our jobs is to protect this city and to make sure the city prospers, and it's a balancing act. It really is. But I was thinking last night after the city council meeting that this has happened before. Years ago when the Lebanon Bank was built, they tore down Carruthers Hall.
Yeah. The Law Barn.
The Law Barn. People's Bank, when it was built, they tore down a historic home.
Right.
Right there on the corner. Commerce Union Bank, when it was built, they tore down a whole section of the square. Right. So it's happened before. And my job and the city council's job and the historic commission's job is to really make sure it doesn't happen again. That as we go through the future, that our history is preserved. And I'm all about looking at the future, but we also need to protect our past. My 20 years as a history professor, that's sort of who I am.
Yeah.
And I just want people to know that, from this point forward, we're going to work hard to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Well, and that's the thing that I've noticed about Lebanon, as opposed to Franklin or Murfreesboro. For whatever reason, and a lot of it is economy driven or economic driven, and sometimes you may have a relative or the descendants of someone who owns that house and may live to be 100, and it stays in that family for a long period of time. But so you go down Main Street in Lebanon in particular, and some of the areas around the square, and that the buildings, they may be 50 years old, but there was something there before.
That's right. Well, if you look where Quick Stop is.
Yeah.
Okay, Quick Stop is over 50 years old now.
Yeah.
But there was something there before.
Yeah.
And there's other businesses up down through there. But, one of the things I made as a promise when I was running for office is that we would protect our past. And I'm truly upset that the house is torn down. I really am.
But you only have so much control.
That's
true. Really the only way to do it in a fair way, frankly, to the property owner, is that public dollars, government dollars, or nonprofit dollars would need to be kicked in to preserve and protect that. But then you get into that issue, is that a wise expenditure of tax dollars?
Well, that's true. And again, as I said, it's a balancing act.
Yeah.
It really is. And it really takes a partnership. It takes a partnership, not with just the city government, but also with private, landowners. And, one of the questions I had about that house is, there's previous owners.
Yeah.
Why did they not preserve it?
Right.
They could have preserved it. And it's a shame. I wish the house was still standing. It was a private real estate deal.
Yeah.
And we as a city, we had no control. I wish we'd had more control, but we didn't. But as we move forward, we're gonna do everything we can to protect some of our other buildings.
Well, I appreciate your words on that and explaining, it is a balancing act. But another news that we had from the administration is there's a new utilities director, right?
There is. When I took office, I realized, we're growing. That's something everybody realizes. And Jeff Baines, our Public Works Commissioner, has been over utilities for a lot of years. And as the city grows, his responsibilities are growing with it. And I think as we plan for the future, we really needed to kind of split those duties up. So we created the utilities director position to oversee gas and water and sewer and sanitation, and sewer and water treatment. And a few weeks ago, I hired Margaret Washko to take that position. She starts Monday, and she's really excited about it. She has 30 years in the utilities industry. She's designed sewer plants. She's overseen construction of those things. She's run utility districts throughout the country, and she lives here, in Middle Tennessee now. And
Margaret Washko. Is she an employee of the city now?
She has not been. No,
Okay.
she's new. She's
Okay.
new, and it was a very rigorous interview process we went through, and there's some really fine candidates. Our final 3 candidates were all great and well qualified. I just felt like she was the one that would be best in this position, and so this is kind of a new phase, I guess, in Lebanon's history. No, we've never had a utilities director before, but as we grow, this job is going to grow with it, and I think as we move to the future, it's really good to split these. I asked the city council in this year's budget to create this position. I appreciate them agreeing with that, and now she's been hired, and she's going to start Monday. I look forward to working with her.
All right. Well, unfortunately, and I so appreciate you yielding some time for Mr. Ponder on here.
It's my pleasure.
I didn't know that y'all had a family connection from way back, but I guess with Mr. Ponder's personality, everybody's going to claim.
He knows everybody, it seems.
Yeah. But with that, thanks everybody for tuning in to Coleman and Company on this rainy, cloudy, overcast Wednesday morning. And I ask you to tune in tomorrow. But until then, have a wonderful day.